a highly requested chores video. Hoya cuttings and planting more in the terrarium. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, my name is Roos. I'm a houseplant lover and content creator from the Netherlands. My pronouns are she, her. And today I have a lot of plant chores to do that I've been pushing off, so we're gonna do them together. Good morning, Maggie. More Maggie footage at the end of this video. Look at her big eyes here. She's so adorable. The first thing I like to do in the morning is spray the terrarium so that the humidity stays up. Today I actually have to fill up the fogger as well with osmosis water. This is my can of osmosis water. This is the spray bottle I use. And down here we have an empty fogger machine. So switch it off, take out this bit, and then take this part off. Some cool updates you might like to see. We have a new metallicum leaf that looks quite big actually. I'm excited about that. It does have a second point, but that seems to have stopped growing. Calatheas are still alive. There's new leaves growing on the little, it's very small, but you can see it, the little crawler thingies. Even Cleo the queen is finally starting to work on something. Do you see the little point? Woo! That will be her first new leaf since she moved in here. Regal also making a point, but not much more than that yet. The begonias are still alive. Seem to be doing okay, not great. Alocasias over here are growing steadily. With the spray and the fogger filled up, the terrarium is ready for the day, so I can continue with getting ready myself. I don't eat breakfast in the morning. I started doing intermittent fasting again because I'm not hungry anyway in the mornings, but I do drink water before I go on my morning walk. I've been struggling to go on my daily mental health walks, so I made a plan yesterday. This is the first day that I'm going again, first thing in the morning. They often also have a fire when you go a little bit later, which I love the smell of. And I brought a plastic bag so that if I see any rubbish or plastic on the beach, that I can take it with me and clean the beach a little bit. Pick up some plastic on the way, like what I just found, fake leaves, putting that in my baggie. I know this is not very planty yet, but don't worry, there will be plant chores. These have rocked up on the beach a lot, unfortunately. Just a quick walk, and this is what I caught. I think it's a good catch for my first day. I ended up walking for about 45 minutes, so I'm gonna start with a bit of editing so I can sit and relax and then get to all the chores that require more movement. Since most of my money is currently coming in through Instagram and YouTube collaborations, it does mean that I am writing a lot of emails and sitting at my computer a little bit more because I have to arrange these sponsorships. I'm very grateful that that is even possible because of all of you guys watching, so I don't mind it, and I try to reach out to companies that I actually already like so that the sponsorships and the collaborations are like true or what I already would recommend to you guys anyway, so it feels more natural and it doesn't feel like a complete ad all the time on my channel. Perfect, my video is finished and uploaded, ready to go for tomorrow, so computer stuff done. We're gonna take some cuttings today, but I also just really wanted to cut off this dead leaf. So first we sterilize the shears. I have this pure alcohol that I just go like this, and then they are sterilized. And you do this between every cut, even between every cut on the same plant. So I'm gonna keep this close. I always recommend people leave their yellowing leaves on a plant until they are either fully yellow or brown, because the plant is still taking, it's called mobile nutrients, back from this leaf into the main plant so that the rest of the plant can grow. And the rest of the plant, for example, is this beautiful new leaf that grew in my care on my yellow variegated Mycolitiana Frydek. But this leaf that is fully hanging down, I think we can say it's gone, because it's just like that. So we're gonna cut that off. Maybe also this one, because it is close to being done. This is really what a lot of alocasias look like during fall and winter in my care. The leaves start to droop and a lot more leaves will die off than you're used to. But usually they come back strong in spring with beautiful big leaves, so it's okay. This one for sure. This one, I'm not sure about. This one, yes. Okay. Some of my other alocasias, like this beautiful dragon scale, are still actively growing. This leaf has just opened. On this platinum, there is a new point. Can you see there? Here is my beautiful Aslani that also continues growing. Here's my tiny baby Maharani, which made this new leaf for me. What I'm especially excited about is that my big Gloriosum apple is finally looking like he's growing again. See? This is finally starting to activate again. And these Hoyas have a lot of new leaves as well. I got these from Kakyeki when I did the tour there. If you want to check it out, check it there. But I left them in this bag because I didn't have much mental capacity to take care of plants, and they've been doing really well. I also like to check on the small terrarium. It has a heat mat in it, so that means that the plants dry out quite quickly. So I spray in here regularly as well. This leaf I've been trying to get open for a while. Do you see the little mealybugs on there? Just two small ones, but I have a great way to treat it. So I have this paint pen, which is actually for like aquarelle painting and stuff. And I put alcohol in there, so it becomes very easy to treat the mealies, because you can just bloop, and they're gone. At least they're dead. My plan for the big terrarium is to have some of the Hoyas at the top there, but that means that I need to take some cuttings and I want to root them in moss so that I can just stick the moss that they have rooted into the big terrarium once they're ready. But I'm not sure if I want to cut this yet. This is my favorite Hoya ever, Hoya Rinci Borneo. It has made another leaf here, and then there's a long tendril over there. I feel like it's a bad idea to cut it now because you're cutting away a lot of the tendril that it grew. So I think I have to be a bit more patient for that one. This Pirak teddy bear has actually grown a tendril from that way, so I could take the top off the cutting. I think I might do that. There we go. Filming with my left hand is tricky. Sorry if I'm not aiming in the right direction. Here we go. Look at this beautiful cutting. Whoa, it's very big. It's a lot of leaves for one small cutting, but we're gonna try. My big leafed Meredithy is also finally growing again, so I'm gonna leave that alone for a little while. It's still soft, this one, so it's still growing. And I accidentally broke off that leaf. Do you see it? That's very sad because those leaves are amazing. And it looks like it's getting bigger than the previous leaf as well. So that is very exciting. Hopefully one day that will be big enough to take cuttings as well for in the terrarium. I guess I could also take a cutting of this one. This is Hoya Deikiai. That is really a tricky Hoya to grow. If you have it, you might know. Going down as much as possible. Snap. Might actually make it look prettier. Look at this cutting, isn't that weird? I could try and make it a bare stem cutting as well. I guess I can also take a cutting now of this one. This is my New Guinea Ghost that has finally grown a tendril. I got this and it rotted away almost completely, and I'm so happy that it's recovered now. It's hard to show you. It's beautifully silver and almost pink from some sun stress, or light stress, I should say. This one's also one of my favorites, Hoya Waimani. Oops, sorry. but it's only just starting to grow again, so I'm going to leave that alone as well. This propagation sadly completely lost its leaf. That's gone. But if you look carefully, you can see there is a new point there. This is a philodendron Burlmark's Fantasy. So I'm going to take out this part. Ooh, shit! The moss can dry out on the heat mat a little bit too quickly. So I'm just going to spray in there a little bit. Here, I have a spray to get some fresh water in. And then close the lid again. If you like Hoyas and you want to know what temperature they like, I highly recommend this link. I'll link it in the description. Of Doug from Vermont Hoyas. He has an overview of Hoyas that like warm, cool, or intermediate temperatures. And in this case, I'm especially looking at the warm. And I see Clementiorum there. I could take a cutting of my Clementiorum because the terrarium has a heat source at the top. So it gets quite warm up there. Let's see. Not many like it warm. But we do have the Weimanii here, so once that is ready for another cut, I'll take a cutting of that. And I think also the intermediate ones are fine to do, and most of them are intermediate, including Hoya Dekii. So I'll just go by that. Intermediate is 60 to 95, which is 15 to 35. I also have a lot of Hoyas on this shelf that we might be able to take some cuttings off. Several of them are actually cold growing, and I see some mealies. Just quickly gonna grab the pen again. Let's see. We could take a cutting of Hoya Viola, which you can't even see what I'm doing, can you? You're a little bit closer now, so hopefully you can see just this little leaf one. Snap. It's a very small leaf, but it's mature. I also think I'm gonna take a few cuttings of this because I would love this to grow in the terrarium. Even though it's a bit sad to cut this plant up, but it's a fast grower, so it's okay. This one actually is the normal Huschkeliana, which has very long tendrils, so that can definitely be propagated. This is one of my favorites. This is the verticillata, previously known as Weibergiae, that gets the pink purple splash. And this one actually can be cut down here. It's a short stem, but we can make it work. One level lower, we have some of my favorite Hoyas, like the Gunungading, which actually I could take a cutting off as well. And this Caudata, I could also take a cutting, but it just started growing again after cutting it back pretty drastically. Oh, look, there's new growth on that part as well. So I'm gonna leave this one alone, but I think I might take a cutting of this. One-handed cuttings are a little bit scary, but we're doing it. One of these cuttings with just one leaf is only useless if the leaf is mature, so if it has hardened off. This is my Clementiorum, and I could cut it. I think it would like it warmer, but it would be such a waste of this tendril. I'm not sure what to do. Maybe I can re-trellis it. It looks a bit weird with the leaves now upside down, but at least it is more easy to move. I did see some breaking on the stem because the leaves were so heavy. Hopefully this will help this plant to start growing some new leaves. If not, I can always take a cutting afterwards. But yeah, this should get a warmer spot. Doesn't fit. Doesn't fit? Fits. Okay, it's gonna stay here. This is one of my favorite Hoyas as well, even though it seems to be very underrated. This is Hoya flavida. And it looks a bit like a caudata. It has a beautiful shimmer and a bit more splash in this case. I don't know if that's normal for all of them. And it creates beautiful flowers with a lot of fluff. But this one we're not cutting because I cut it back recently and I want that point to start growing first before I cut it off. Again, that's a bit mean. And this one is making a new leaf as well. So this just gets some water. Actually, it needs water. I started using rainwater again. I was a little bit afraid that it was gonna have... Ooh, this is difficult. Filming and giving water and talking. Okay, I was worried that the rainwater might have some mosquito babies in it, but I think it is better for the plants that are... We have quite hard water here, apparently. These are all not ready to cut. This is a Finlaysoni that is incredibly slow. This is actually my Monstera obliqua, the Bolivian form, with a mealybug on there. Mealybugs are everywhere. It's fine. And I cut this back because it was too tall. You can see here, there's a new point growing, and I actually moved it out of the tent and just into the living room, which is impressive that it continues growing. These two plants are new in my collection, and they're not gonna stay in my collection. I got these as rescues. Company was throwing them away, and I said, can I please rescue them? Just checking to see if this is just soil or if there's bugs on there, but it looks like just soil. It's okay. Or if you see something in the video, please tell me if you see bugs. Anyway, these are white princesses. Do not open the leaves with your hands, Rose. That have some beautiful pink in it. More pink than my pink princesses. This one has some pink as well, a lot of pink in the stem. And the new growth is fully white, and the new leaf looks fully white, and there's a fully white leaf here as well. These literally were just taken from a bin. I did ask the company and they gave me permission, so I didn't steal them, and potted in these pots that I don't normally use. I didn't do anything to them yet, so we're gonna give them a proper pot. Once they have recovered, I'm gonna give this to my mom and her friend, who always takes care of others, is rescuing animals that have been dumped or are sad, and the plants give both of them a little bit of joy. So if you're ever thinking, why does she get all the good plants? I pass them on again. So it's not just me receiving plants all the time. I got a nasty comment about that recently, and I can't help it that people sometimes give me stuff, okay? I want to rescue these plants. It's sad if they were being thrown away. Let's quickly set this up before I'm making too much of a mess. So I'm gonna use my own soil, which is a nice chunky mix with bark and perlite. It already feels a lot more stable now, so that's good. One. A little bit angled so that it is actually straight because it was growing at an angle. That's always nice of repotting like this. You can readjust the plant. After repotting, we always water, though in winter, carefully. I have something to show you up on the attic. I haven't looked there in months in this box, so I'm excited to see what's inside. Oh shit! Check this out. This is my, I can't call them seedlings anymore. This used to be my crystallinum seedling box. This leaf is new. This leaf is new. Beautiful. As you can see, they're starting to be quite big. There's a small one down there. This was the first batch that I got seeds from. This one is making a new one. And I got the seeds from a friend. So yes, I'm lucky like that. But this leaf, look, it's got all crumpled up against the top, which is not ideal. Which kind of also means that it's too big now for this box. There's a dead leaf here. This, oh, this is very exciting. I forgot this was in here. Is that a root or is that a growth point? Kind of looks like a growth point from this angle. This is the stump of my queen anthurium. Ha ha ha. The base. It's very wet though. I guess I didn't need to water it, even with months and months of being in here by itself. I guess it's the winter growth, but you can see here, this is how long the leaves grew in summer. And then this is how tall the leaf grew in winter. Twice as tall. I guess it needed more light, but luckily it is getting more light soon. Soon, friends, soon. Root porn. This looks amazing. I wonder what we should do with this one, because it's growing against the top. But of course it's very happy in this box. Maybe I can dig it a little hole. Hey, what's in here? Ooh, I think this is my third regale stump that is finally showing some growth. The other two have already made several leaves, but this part just was extra slow. I rearranged a little bit so that this is sitting a little bit lower. It will still touch the top, but not as much. And I put some of the small ones from the terrarium there because they were drying out a lot. Hopefully in this wet box, they're gonna stay happier. Look at the beautiful points. I'm very excited. Okay, let's pop this back up. It's actually sitting there where it's getting that purple light, but also the natural light. And next we'll look at some prop boxes. Before we get started with the Hoya propagations, I just want to show you some boxes that I have happening right now with older propagations. This is actually a rescue project. That is my only leftover Phalaenopsis orchid. This lady was struggling a lot and the stem was rotted. As you can see, some old leaves as well. But the top still looked really good, and it actually looks recovered because it was this was very dried out. The light is a little bit shit. That's better. So this is my old Phalaenopsis Anya that had root rot, and the stem also didn't look very happy, so I cut that off. And this was what was left. The roots are very impractical to one side, so I kind of put it on its side. But I kind of need this one for some propagations, Begonia propagations that I'm planning to take. So now I'm not sure if if I should move this. Let me just cut this off because this was broken anyway. I don't know what to do with this one. Would you rescue it? What would you do? Tell me in the comments, please. I found this see-through pot. Traditionally, orchids are potted in see-through pots, so why not continue that? Nice noise. Base layer, roots. Trying to get them all in there, but they're too long. That should be okay. Putting that to the side so I can use the container for that other project that we're gonna do in a few minutes. Now the other box that looks exactly the same I got from Repotting, which I don't know if you can see, but there is some Begonia Chlornura, that's better, cuttings in there. If you want to see that video, check it out there. And these looking very healthy still. Let's see. I don't see any roots yet, but I don't want to pull them out. Let's pull one out so we can see. Absolutely nothing. But they've only been in here a short while, and apparently it takes a while. I should be more patient. Just wanted to check for you guys. So this one is gonna go back up where it was before. It's actually on a heat mat underneath the skylight. This is my second propagation box for begonias. This seems to have not been successful. I think it was a tiny Amphioxus, but we're gonna pronounce that. This is my Labicea cutting that hasn't done anything yet. I checked it recently, so I'm gonna leave it in there for now. These are some moss project. I was trying to grow live moss, and I followed the advice of Benji Plants. If you don't know him, he's awesome. He makes incredible videos and his channel has grown really quickly. But so far, I don't really have success yet with the moss. Basically, I'm just growing algae on top of the moss, it seems. So I guess I'm good at algae growing. Benji, are you proud of me? Then these two are Begonia propagations as well. This is not going well. This is a Begonia Kingiana, I want to say, but this rotted, so we're gonna throw this out. This one here is I don't really know what it is. It has a beautiful dark leaf, and I actually took this out recently. I don't know if you can see it, but it has roots. On every vein, there are some roots. Do you see them? Adorable little roots, which apparently means that the plantlets are gonna grow kind of soon. So we're just gonna pop this back in here. Actually, there is a lot of empty space in this box now because I had some other ones that rotted away. So I think we can put some fresh cuttings in here as well. This is actually vermiculite, which someone on YouTube recommended they propagate begonias in, but I'm not quite sure if it's the ideal thing. It gets quite moist. The other one, ooh, you can see the roots at the top even, so that's going kind of well. This is Ceramis with the same propagations. This Kingiana, as you can see, has roots at the base there. I didn't know where the roots would grow, so this I should have cut a little bit shorter. Would have been easier. You can see my stabs to the leaf because I didn't know how to propagate these, which was a little bit mean. I just stabbed the leaf before I learned you have to actually cut the veins. Like I did with this one, you can see here, there is some roots growing from some of the leaves, not all of them. And then this is the main base part. I think from the other one it rotted away, but this also has some roots. So this is going well. There is space for more propagation. And I'm mostly taking these begonia cuttings to learn how to handle these plants because they are very new to me, and sometimes plants make sense, like philodendron and monstera are quite easy to get. Some others are harder to get, like anthuriums, for me at least. I'm speaking for myself, of course. Begonias. When you propagate a plant, you learn which works, what works and what doesn't work, and then you can understand the whole plant a little bit better. Am I waving around my dirty hands? Yes, I am. So we're gonna take some cuttings of some of the begonias in here. Most of them are still very, very small, so I don't want to take cuttings of those, but there are a few that I can manage, I think. Here we are at the base of the big terrarium, my begonia paradise. One cutting I want to take is this beautiful Julao. No, Jiwui. Julao I don't own yet, because I'm not quite sure what it's doing and I'm not quite sure if it's happy in here. So I figured I can make a backup plan. This is my Begonia chloristicta red form that is still very, very small. So I could take a cutting like this leaf, but it's still a very small leaf. I don't know if that will work. This one looks very happy though, it's growing well. The other ones are planted in here. So we have chloristicta green form, this Thelmae, what is this thing doing? Go away. Little crawler. Ooh, I broke that off, but it's okay because they are such fast growers. I'm gonna put it in a different spot. This is actually a Tradescantia, which I put in here to cover the bottom, but I actually prefer them to be begonias. There you can see a lot of the Thelmae are growing, and those I got as cuttings, so that's okay. Amphioxus is here, which, I don't think I'll take a cutting off because they are very tricky, and you can't cut them with just a leaf, you need a stem. And then this is Melanobilata, which I got as a small plant. This is the newest leaf that it grew in my care. Maybe we can take this old leaf, but it's already a little bit rotted. I don't even know if you can grow these from leaf cuttings, but we can try. See, this is rotted already, so not the ideal leaf. From what I understand, you want a mature leaf, but not a rotting one. We'll see how it does. Over on this corner, we have a few more begonias in little pots that are finally recovering. I let them dry out a little bit too much. We can definitely take some cuttings of this one. I think this big leaf would be nice. Come on. And these are not special begonias. I just bought them for a few euros in a garden center, but they are also to help me understand begonias better. You can see here a lot of baby leaves are growing, so it's going well now. Take another cutting. This one. Okay. Then we have this one as well, which has died back quite a lot. And then you can see here, some of the growth is much darker. This is how I bought it, and this is how it's turning out. So it could be because it's getting less light, but it could also be a different form or like a different morphology, whatever you call the right word. But we're gonna try and take some cuttings off this as well. I'll also take one of the darker leaves, even though it's still very small. I don't know if that's right. Maybe some of you begonia knowers are screaming at the screen. Don't do it. But I've done it already. We should plant these. We might plant these at the end of the video. The last one we're gonna take cuttings off is this Jiwui that I mentioned already. I guess this is a perfect leaf because it's beautiful. Here. There we go. This one looks sad, so we're gonna leave that on. Look how funky this is. Actually, it's very dry compared to other plants in the terrarium. So I'm gonna take this cutting, and then we're gonna plant all the begonias into the ground because this is definitely too dry. I'm gonna water it now. I'm just gonna cut this brown part off first. So the way I have learned about propagating begonias is that you cut this leaf part off. We're not throwing it away, we're just cutting it off. And then this is your main cutting, which has the best success rate. Make this quite short, like I showed you before. You don't want this to be super long and impractical. And then this you can either leave as a leaf for now, which is a little bit quicker, or you can already cut it along the veins. So you can see here, this can be one plant, this can be one plant, maybe this as well. I think I'm gonna leave it as is, and then if it starts to root, like my other begonia that I showed you before, then you can still cut it up into different parts and it becomes more plants. Let's do that for all the other leaves as well. Ooh, I immediately found some mealybugs on this one. So we're gonna take that off in a sec. I actually don't know if it's better to cut this a little bit bigger or if short is good. I was trying to avoid the splitting of the veins so that the veins on this one are still the main veins. But I don't know. I'm a beginner begonia propagator. Might be good to pot these up properly first. We'll put one jiwui in here because it's my favorite and I want it to survive. It's really full already, kind of, so switch. This guy. I put some soil into this mix, and this is not my aeroid mix, this is just plain soil. I'm gonna try and put these in. I did make it a little bit wet, which is a risk because it can rot easily, but we're gonna try. Again, this is not a tutorial video, this is a chores video. Pop this in here. This is the jiwui. It's so beautiful, it's shimmery and I love it. Next up are the Hoya cuttings. I'm gonna take some Hoya courtesy propagations as well because it will look very cute growing in there. I think it will like the higher humidity. Now these Hoya cuttings I'm gonna propagate in moss, like I said, so that I can pot them into the wall straight away. And so far, I don't have a lot of success with propagating in moss. It's not my favorite. I think maybe I might make a moss prop box. So I'm just gonna throw them all in that little box and then see how they do. What do you think? How do you propagate in moss, if you do? I know some of my friends love propagating in moss. If we make this whole box a propagation box, that could work. It's pretty moist already, this moss. So I guess we can just lay them on top, which is kind of handy with the moss. I am nervous. Will this work? I don't know. This one has so many leaves that I'm gonna cut it in two, even though this stem will be quite short. I guess that's a benefit of propagating in moss. It will kind of lie on the moss, so it can also root from this part, hopefully. So these are definitely some of my favorites going in here. Hopefully they're gonna do well. Hoya viola. Just sticking them all in. I guess it's a good thing that I got this box because there's quite a few of them, which I definitely underestimated. Gading, little obovata, this beautiful Wybergier, now no longer called Wybergier, I know. Don't come for me. This Hoya, I guess I'm gonna try and grow as a stick, but this one has a leaf, so that's the only one that I think might have a chance to grow. Maybe it will like it with the moss and the warmth. I don't normally grow them in moss, so maybe it's gonna be super happy. And then lastly we have the Hushkaliana. I'm gonna just cut this into small pieces, pop them on top of the moss slash in the moss, and that's it. We have a full box. Although I'm not used to growing in moss, I do really like how this looks and that they can just all sit together. It's a little bit easier actually than my normal propagation methods. So we'll see how this goes. This box I'm going to close and put on top of the heat mat. I'm going to try and put these begonia boxes next to it. Maybe spread them out a little bit so they all get the warmth. Because up there it can be a little bit more cold. We'll see. I'm also running out of my aeroid mix. So I thought, well, I have all the stuff here, the ingredients. Might as well fill it up. Soil. My other main ingredient is bark. Perlite, perlite, perlite. Horticultural charcoal. Just a few pieces. I've recently started adding this stuff, tree fern pieces. The soil is ready. And then my battery died, but while it was charging, I cleaned the house because it was a chaotic mess full of soil everywhere. So now my boyfriend is happy and I can continue with the chores. I wanted to show you something in here that I thought was fun to see. I've been experimenting with Hoya propagations just from sticks, no leaves. And here one is a success. But in general, the success rate is much, much lower. And it takes a lot longer than if we do with a leaf. I actually have a whole bunch of them in here, which I haven't looked at in ages, but some of them are growing as well. I was gonna make a video, but it took so long that I kind of gave up on them. The last thing for this vlog is to pot up these beautiful begonias into the terrarium soil. It's a bit more risky because it might stay too wet, but I think they'll be okay, and I took cuttings of most of them now, so let's do it. Making a bit of a hole. Look how, can you see how much perlite is in there? It's a lot, because I didn't have much soil when I was making this. Okay. Some lickables at the bottom, taking them out. All right, baby. Good luck. Beautiful. I guess this one. This is very nice. No. I just pulled it out and I think I broke some of the roots. Okay, let's hope this is gonna be okay. One in the back here that I absolutely love is the Margravia L. Coca. I wonder what this is potted in soil as well. So I guess I can plant it in here. I'm gonna leave the stick with it so it can climb up that. I have some moss here that's actually growing. It's that star moss, but that's not stuck to one location, so I could move that somewhere else. There's a lot of moss here. That's awesome. I'm getting better at filming in the terrarium. Finally. Put some moss around it. Put this blob of moss back. Lastly, over on this side, these two begonias. Oh, this leaf broke off. I guess we can try and propagate it straight into the soil. Ooh, there's a snail on there. What are you doing? Here, we can pop this one in. One more plant that's in here that is in a pot still is this cute, adorable Dischidia numularia, a smaller leaf form. I love this one, but it is in soil, so I didn't know how to pot it up in here. I think I'm just going to take some cuttings and throw them in our Hoya box, our moss propagation box, and then once they're ready, I can pot them up in here. Here's what it looks like now. I actually love it, especially because there's more space for the moss to actually reach the light. Beautiful begonias everywhere. Very curious to see how the propagations will do, and I hope that one, you can hardly see it, but it's amazing. I hope it will grow beautifully. Woo, yeah! It's now 6 p.m, which means that I've been doing plant chores all day. It did take a lot longer because I wanted to film everything, and every time I wanted to do something, I was like, oh no, I have to set up the camera for it. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, maybe join the Patreon or the YouTube membership. I'm always open to suggestions, so if you have something that you would love to see or learn about, please let me know in the comments and I'll get on it right away. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. I selected a few more videos that you might enjoy. But first, as promised, a bit more cat footage for those who like that. Bye friends! Hey! Look who came to join the party.